Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into a book that honestly changed the way I think about money, Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. And it's got this one big, radical idea. Being good with money, it's got way less to do with how smart you are and pretty much everything to do with how you act.
Okay, so to really get this, the book kicks off with these two stories, and they couldn't be more different. They just perfectly set the stage for everything else we're going to talk about.
So get this, on one side you've got this brilliant tech executive. The guy patented key parts of Wi-Fi. He was so successful he'd throw gold coins into the ocean just for fun. And then he went broke. Completely. Then on the other side, you have Ronald Read, a janitor. Swept floors his whole life, lived in a tiny house, and died a multimillionaire, leaving millions to charity. How on earth does that happen?
Well, the answer is the book's core idea, and it's a total game changer. It's not about how many degrees you have, it's not about your IQ, nope. It all comes down to how you behave.
We usually think of finance like it's math or physics, right? Like there are these hard and fast rules. But what House argues is that it's not a hard science. It's a soft skill. It's actually way more about psychology, about our egos, our fears, our emotions. And in that world, how you act is so much more important than what's in your textbook.
Okay, so if behavior is the key, why do we all act so differently when it comes to money? You've got your super savers, your big spenders. The book's answer is actually really simple and kind of profound. No one's crazy. All those decisions we make, they're just a direct result of our own, totally unique, personal experiences.
And this quote just nails it. It really frames why we have these financial blind spots. Think about it. Your own personal experience with money is this tiny, tiny fraction of everything that's ever happened in the financial world. But that little sliver, that makes up like 80% of how you think the whole system works. It's wild when you think of it that way.
And here's a perfect example of that. Let's say you have two people, both equally smart. The first one was born in the 50s. In their teens and 20s, the stock market basically went nowhere. Now the second person, born in the 70s, they saw the market go up 10 times during those same years. You can bet they're going to have completely different ideas about investing for their entire lives. And it's not because one is smarter, it's just dumb luck when they happen to be born.
So what this all boils down to is that what feels right to you about money is really just a story you're telling yourself. It's a story that's been shaped by your world. So something that looks totally irrational to me might make perfect sense to you, simply because our personal financial worlds are completely different. All right, so beyond what's going on in our own heads, the book points to these huge invisible forces that have a massive impact on our financial lives. You can't always see them, but trust me, they are shaping everything.
And the first two are basically doppelgangers, luck and risk. They're really just two sides of the same coin, right? They're both just an admission that, hey, the world is a really complex place. You can't possibly control everything. So every outcome in your life is a mix of what you did and a bunch of stuff that was just totally out of your hands.
And the book gives this really powerful and kind of sad example. We all know Bill Gates, but what you might not know is that he had a high school friend, Kent Evans. The guy was just as smart, just as driven. They were gonna start Microsoft together. But Kent died in a mountaineering accident before they even graduated. A totally random, tragic event. It was just the flip side of the coin from luck. It was risk. It's just a huge reminder that outcomes are never as black and white as we think they are.
But the biggest unseen force of all? Well, that's compounding. Housel's point here is that when a little bit of growth fuels future growth, you can start with something tiny and end up with something that it defies logic. He compares it to an ice age. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts with one summer that's just a little bit cooler, letting a little snow stick around, and then it builds.
And of course, the best example of this is Warren Buffett. We all think of him as this genius investor, right? But the book argues that his real superpower isn't just his skill at picking stocks.
His net worth is something like $84.5 billion. But check this out. This is the part that is just absolutely mind-blowing when you think about where that money actually came from. Okay, so out of that massive number, over 81 billion of it, he earned after he turned 65. I'll say that again. 96% of his wealth came after he could have started collecting Social Security. That's insane. So what does that tell us? It tells us that good investing isn't really about getting the highest possible returns every single year. It's about getting pretty good, consistent returns that you can stick with for a really, really long time. So yeah, Buffett's skill is investing, but his secret
His real secret is time.
But here's the thing. Sticking around for that long, that requires a completely different skill set than getting rich in the first place. And this is a huge point in the book. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy, they are two totally different games.
See, to get wealthy, you often have to take risks, be optimistic, put yourself out there. But to stay wealthy, you need the exact opposite. You need humility. You need a little bit of fear, a little paranoia. You have to accept that just because you did well yesterday doesn't mean you'll do well tomorrow. And there's this one story in the book that illustrates this perfectly.
This guy, Jesse Livermore, was one of the best stock traders ever. During the big crash of 1929, he made what would be like $3 billion today in one day. He became one of the richest men in the world. But that incredible success went to his head. He got overconfident, started making bigger and crazier bets until, poof, 4 years later, it was all gone. He had mastered the art of getting rich, but he had no idea how to stay rich.
So how do you actually stay wealthy? You need what the book calls a survival mentality. And it's built on 3 basic ideas. First, your number 1 goal should be to be financially unbreakable. Second, you have to plan on your plan not going according to plan. And third, you need to be what he calls a paranoid optimist. You're optimistic about the future, for sure, but you're also paranoid about all the things that could stop you from getting there. Okay, so this all leads to the big question, right? The climax of the whole argument. After all this talk about our psychology and survival, what's the point? What is money actually for? And the book is crystal clear on this. The answer is not about luxury cars or fancy watches or a bigger house. The highest form of wealth, the real value of money, is something way more valuable, and honestly, something we forget about all the time.
It's freedom. That's it. The ability to wake up in the morning and do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. That is the highest dividend money will ever pay you. It's control over your own time. That's the real end game.
So, the book leaves us with this one final, really powerful question to ask ourselves. What game are you playing? When it comes to your money, is your goal to impress other people, to show off your status, or is it to buy your own freedom? Because if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that mastering money has very little to do with spreadsheets and everything to do with understanding what's going on right here, in your own head.